Jaya Radha Madhava. Yashoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Damuna Tira Vanachari Damuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kinda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kinda Bihari Vedana Bala Bhagirivara Dhari Kapidana Bala Bhagirivara Dhari Yashoda Nandana Bhajadana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Bhajadana Ranjana Damuna Tira Vanachari Damuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kinda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kinda Bihari Vedana Bala Bhagirivara Dhari Kapidana Bala Bhagirivara Dhari Yashoda Nandana Bhajadana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Bhajadana Ranjana Damuna Tira Vanachari Damuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kinda Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Nishipad Paramhamsa Parivrajakacharya Astatar Sada Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Tam Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Nishipad Paramhamsa Parivrajakacharya Astatar Sada Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Shri Radha Govinda Ki Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Haridas Thakur Ki Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Vedagadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda Ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Gir Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Ki Mayapur Dham Ki Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Ganga Maya Ki Yamuna Maya Ki Tulasi Devi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Samveda Bhaktivinda Ki Gaur Premanandi. Ah, glorious the assembled devotees. Ah, glorious the assembled devotees. Ah, glorious the assembled devotees. Ah, glorious to Shishi, Guru, and Gauranga. So, Gangadhar Prabhu in his humility asked me to give the class, thinking that he couldn't do a good job, but I'm sure if he can cook such a nice Raj Bhoga for the deities, he can probably give a good class too. So, we're continuing our reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And the not sure that the marker is in the right place. We're still in the descent of Dhruva Maharaj. Yeah, the descent of Dhruva Maharaj. So it's, I think we're on 33 and 34 today, as far as I know. Although the marker's at a different place. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Creation in the Fourth Order, Chapter 13, the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. And we're giving two texts with short purports today, 33 and 34. So I think we'll just chant the first one together, and later I'll chant the subsequent one myself. Thank you. So, Tata Svabhaga Deyani Grihishyanti Deva Okasha Yat Yagyapurusha Sakshat Apatyaya Harihi Vitaha Tatasvabhaga Deyani Grahishyanti Devokasha Yadyagya Purusha Saksad Apatyaya Harir Vita Tatasva Bhagadeyani Rahishyanti Devokasaha Yad Yaga Purusha Sakshad Apatyaya Harir Vrta Tatasva Bhagadeyani Rahishyanti Devokasaha Yad Yaga Purusha Saksad Apatyaya Harir Vrtaha. Please chant. Sasvagadeyani Shanti Vibhoksha Pusa Saksad Tasva Bhagadevani Shanti Devokasa Pusakshatsad Taya Haririta. Devokasa Pusakshatsad Taya Haririta. Tasabhagadeyani Vishanti Devokasaha Yagyaprisha Sakshad Pataya Harirvita. Tasabhagadeyani Vishanti Devokasaha Yagyaprisha Sakshad Pataya Harirvita. Tasabhagadeyani Vahishanti Devokasaha Yagyaprisha Sakshad Pataya Harirvita. Ladies? Tasabhagadeyani Vahishanti Devokasaha Yagyaprisha Sakshad Yaya Harirvita. One chant? Tasabhagadeyani Vishanti Devokasa Yagyapurisa Sakshad Patyaya Harirvita. Anybody else didn't get to chant who wanted to? Okay. Tata, thereupon, Svabhagadeyani, their shares in the sacrifice, Grahishyanti, will accept, Iva Okasaha, all the demigods, Yat, because, Yage Purushaha, the enjoyer of all sacrifices, Sakshat, directly, Patyaya, for the purpose of a son, Harihi, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vrta, is invited. Translation: when Hari, the supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices, is invited to fulfill your desire for a son, all the demigods will come with him and take their shares in the sacrifice. Please repeat. When Hari, the supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices, is invited to fulfill your desire for a son, all the demigods will come with him and take their shares in the sacrifice. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Whenever a sacrifice is performed, it is meant for satisfying Lord Vishnu, the enjoyer of the fruits of all sacrifices. And when Lord Vishnu agrees to come to a sacrificial arena, all the demigods naturally follow their master, and their shares are offered in such sacrifices. The conclusion is that the sacrifices performed are meant for Lord Vishnu, not for the demigods. Om Jnana Timirandasya Yanana Jana Shlakaya Chakshru Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastai Bulle Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesh Nivadi Pastati Rishta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So this is a common theme in Srila Prabhupada's writing and in the Vedic literature, that sacrifices are meant to be performed for Lord Vishnu. A couple of the verses that you're supposed to memorize in the Bhakti Shastri course relate to that. One is the most famous verse probably in chapter 3:9. Yagnar tat kamanon yacha loka yam karma bandhana tarat apikonteya mukta sangha samatra. That sacrifice, yagya sacrifice is meant for Lord Vishnu, and that if you don't perform sacrifice to Lord Vishnu, you will be entangled in karma. Therefore, you should perform all sacrifice for Vishnu, and this way remain free from material bondage. And there's another very also famous verse at the very tail end. That was 3:9. At the very tail end of chapter 5, there's a verse that goes, Bhoktaram yagya chapasam sarva loka maheswara sridam sarva bhutanam shantam gatva richtati. And that the first line is Bhoktaram yagya tapasam, so that Krishna is the enjoyer of all sacrifices and austerities. So, but in the Vedic literature, there's different sacrifices for demigods that are mentioned, and people are undiscriminating, think that it doesn't matter who you offer sacrifices to, Vishnu or the demigods, it's all the same. But that's not actually a fact. In the Nectar of Devotion, the Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu summary study by Srila Prabhupada, there's a nice quote from the Bhagavatam where Indra talks about sacrifices and how the Lord Vishnu is actually the enjoyer. In the 7th canto, 8th chapter, verse 42, when the demigods are offering prayers to Lord Nrsimha, Indra, the king of heaven, says, O Supreme One, these demons took our share of participation in the performances of ritualistic sacrifices, but simply by your appearance as Lord Nrsimhadev, you've saved us from terrible fears. Actually, our shares in the sacrificial performances are due to you only, because you are the supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices. It's interesting that he said that when Lord Nrsingadev appeared, but by the time of Krishna's appearance in the Indra Yagya, he apparently forgot that point. Because you are the supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices. You are the super soul of every living entity, and therefore you are the actual owner of everything. Long ago our hearts were always filled with fear of this demon Hiranyakashipu, but you are so kind to us that by killing him, you removed that fear from within our hearts and given us a chance to place your lordship in our hearts. Once again, for persons who are engaged in the transcendental loving service of your lordship, all the opulences which were taken away from us by the demons are counted as nothing. Demigods devotees do not even care for liberation, what to speak of these material opulences. Actually, we are not enjoyers of the fruits of sacrifice. Our only duty is to always be engaged in your service, for you are the enjoyer of everything. So it's nice to hear a demigod saying, actually, we're not meant to enjoy these sacrifices, it's actually Vishnu. There's a nice verse that talks about how by worshipping Lord Vishnu, you actually include the worship of all the demigods, and actually you include the worship of all living entities. It's quoted by Srila Prabhupada in the purport of 9.3, and it's from the later in the fourth canto, 431, I think it's 14. It goes, Yata tamor mula nisechenena Tripyanti tatskanda what's the next line? Yo Tripyanti tatskanda bujo pasaka. Let's see. Maybe I'll look it up. The last line is Tataiva Sarvahanam Achiteja. It's the verse that has, what's really cool about it is it has two analogies in it. Many, to bring home spiritual ideas, sometimes analogies are used, and sometimes a verse has one analogy, but this verse has two analogies. And that is that by watering the root of a tree, one nourishes the branches, twigs, and leaves, and by supplying food to the stomach, one nourishes all the senses of the body. Simply by worshiping the Supreme Lord, one actually worships everybody. To speak of all the demigods, all living entities. So, because Krishna is actually the root of everything. When we offer our service, our prayers, our glorification to Krishna, we're actually nourishing everything and everyone. And actually everyone's happy when Krishna is glorified. Everyone in pure consciousness is happy because we're all part and parcel of Krishna. And we appreciate Krishna on the level of our soul. But in conditioned consciousness, our natural knowledge of a relationship with Krishna is covered, and we are doubtful about the value of service to Krishna, whereas for the pure devotees, it's their only activity and their life and soul. So it's very clear, especially in Bhagavad Gita, that the Supreme Lord is actually the result, the goal of all sacrifices. And that if we don't perform sacrifices for Him, we just accrue karma, and we have to live in this world. It's interesting, we talk about karma a lot, and actually Arjuna asked Krishna at the beginning of chapter 8.1, Kim karma? What is karma? And we don't actually talk about what Krishna's definition of karma is, but Krishna's definition of karma is activities that produce another material body. So whatever you do, if the result is you got another material body, then what you did was karma. And if you do bad karma, you get a bad body, and if you do good karma, you get a good body. But all material bodies are actually bad because they're subjected to the threefold miseries and the fourfold miseries. The threefold miseries are the miseries caused by the body and mind, other living entities, and the demigods who are controlling the material nature. And then the like hurricanes and volcanoes and excessive heat and cold. And then there are the fourfold miseries, which Krishna mentions in 13.9 Bhagavad Gita. Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshana darshana. One of the items of knowledge is to be aware of the faultiness of these four material miseries. So, as long as we don't perform activities of sacrifice for Vishnu, we have to perform fruitive activities, karma, and we get another material body which suffers these 7 kinds of miseries. And because Krishna is compassionate, he doesn't like to see all these living entities suffering these 7 kinds of miseries. He enlightens us to the value of performing sacrifice to Vishnu. So, does anybody have any questions or comments before we go on to the next verse? So we'll go on to the next verse, which is 34. I'll just read it myself. Tamstan kaman harir dadyad yan kama yatejana haradito yataivang vaisha tata pumsam palodaya. The performer of the sacrifices under kamakanda activities achieves the fulfillment of the desire for which he worships the Lord. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that he awards benedictions to the worshipper according to his desire. The Supreme Personality of Godhead gives all living entities conditioned within the material world full freedom to act in their own way. But to his devotee, he says that instead of working in that way, it is better to surrender unto him, for he will take charge of the devotee. That is the difference between a devotee and a fruitive actor. The fruitive actor enjoys only the fruits of his own activities, but the devotee, being under the guidance of the Supreme Lord, simply advances in devotional service to achieve the ultimate goal of life, to go back home, back to Godhead. The significant word in this verse is kaman, which means sense gratificatory desires. The devotee is devoid of kaman. He is anyabhilashita shunya. The devotee is always devoid of all desires for sense gratification. His only aim is to satisfy or gratify the senses of the Lord. That is the difference between a karmi and a devotee. So it's nice now we get to hear the difference between a karmi and a devotee. So, when I was reading the beginning of that purport, it says how the Supreme Lord gives the living entities full freedom to act in their own way. But to his devotee, he says, instead of working in that way, it's better to surrender to him, for he will take charge of the devotee. It reminded me of a story that this devotee in Montreal told when he was becoming a devotee. I like to tell it because it's a nice story. So he liked the association of the devotees. He liked the prasadam. He liked the chanting. He liked the philosophy. So he decided he was going to move into the temple. But then his mind gave him some doubts at the last minute. So he decided he would make a deal with his mind. He said, "Mind, I've been listening to you for 17 years and doing whatever you dictate, and I got a certain level of happiness. So for the next 17 years, I'm going to listen to Krishna, and I'm going to do whatever Krishna says. And then after 17 more years, I will be able to choose whether it's better to listen to my mind or it's better to listen to Krishna." And this way, he pacified his mind and he was able to move in the temple. So this was in the 70s when he moved into the temple, and he was telling me this story in 2018, so he lasted a lot more than 17 years, which indicates that he decided that Krishna's program was actually better than the program of his mind. And so, but everyone in the mature world, everyone is very much into their freedom to do whatever they want to do, and they think that the path of happiness in their life is to do your own thing, right? That was very big in the 70s, the slogan, do your own thing. But actually, because we're part and parcel of Krishna as souls, as eternal spiritual souls, we're actually part and parcel of Krishna, and we're actually happier when we do Krishna's thing than when we do our own thing. So this isn't easy for people to understand, because there's such a strong spirit of wanting to do our own thing. And we've been doing our own thing for a very long time in the material world. For many, many births, we've been doing our own thing. And we're very much set on doing our own thing. And we really have to be convinced that Krishna's thing is a lot better. But even if we just understand these two features of God that practically every monotheistic tradition accepts, even if we just understand these two things, then it's very easy to understand that Krishna's program makes sense. One is that Krishna is all-knowing. The other is that Krishna is all-merciful. So if there's somebody who's all-knowing and all-merciful, and they tell us to do something, then it's actually in our self-interest to do it, right? Because we're not all-knowing. Every day we do something that we realize later, actually I shouldn't have done that. And if not every day, every couple of days. Periodically, we're always doing stupid things. So at least if we're a little humble. Of course, some people are very proud and they don't think they ever did anything wrong. So for them it's very hard to assimilate divine instruction. But for your average person is willing to admit they make mistakes. Right? So rather than act according to our mistaken ideas, it's better to act according to the unlimited wisdom of the supremely merciful being, the Supreme Lord. It's actually very rational to think that if we act according to Krishna's direction, we'll get a better result than we will if we act according to our imagination, because Krishna is all-knowing and Krishna is all-merciful. So there's so Prabhupada talks about how that Krishna has a different program for his devotees. He gives them guidance from within, and and he directs them because of their devotional service. And there's some nice verses related to that in Bhagavad Gita. Tesham satati yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. So there's a path back to Godhead, and Krishna will reveal that path if you develop an attitude of serving him with love. And then he continues, Tesham eva nukapatam aham jam tama nashayam yatma bhavasto gata tipena vasvata. Out of compassion for them, I, with the shining lamp seated in their heart, with the shining lamp of knowledge, destroy the darkness born of ignorance. So Krishna gives personal enlightenment. Krishna becomes a personal spiritual guru of anyone who seriously takes to his devotional service and provides all kind of illuminating knowledge. And another verse that talks about how Krishna reciprocates with his devotee is 9:22. Ananyachintayanto mam yejana paripaste teshameba viyuktanam yogashema pahamyam. To those who are constantly meditating on my eternal form, I preserve what they have and I carry what they lack. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki, Shri Shri Gaura Nitai ki, Kira Shalagram ki. So, later in the purport, Prabhupada was talking about how the devotee is free from all desires. And one way we can understand how the devotee can be free from all desires is that he understands that Krishna is going to protect whatever I have and is going to carry whatever I lack. Because some of the main things that we desire are we desire the protection of our possessions and we also desire to acquire more things. But Krishna actually knows what we need and Krishna has the ability to protect whatever we have. So we don't have to beg Krishna for these different material assets if we're actually convinced by that verse 9:22 that he's actually going to provide everything just because we're always engaged in his service. Now another theme here is that devotional service is better than fruit of work. And there's a very nice verse that talks about that in Bhagavad Gita that practically no one ever quotes, but I'm going to quote it if I can remember it, because it's a very nice verse. Tatvavittu mahabaho guna karma vibhagyo guna gune shivartata iti matva nasajate. So the tatvavit is somebody who knows the truth. So a person who knows the truth never engages in the senses or sense gratification, knowing well the difference between devotional service and work for fruit of results. So one who actually understands the difference between devotional service and fruit of work, he never engages in fruit of work and only engages in devotional service. And another thing about the difference between a devotional service and fruit of work is fruit of work, you get a mixture of happiness and distress. The more good karma you have, the more happiness, and the more bad karma, the more distress. But everyone with a material body is getting a mixture of happiness and distress. But when you engage in pure devotional service, you get spiritual pleasure, which is superior to material happiness and which is not mixed with distress. In our practice of devotional service, we may experience some distress, but basically that distress is due to material attachments. It's not due to devotional service. Devotional service is Sat Chit Ananda, eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. But because we're attached to different material things, we experience some trouble when we try to forego our material things in pursuance of spiritual goals. But that's not, that's just due to our attachment. And the more we absorb ourselves in the devotional service, the less our attachment becomes, and the more it becomes 100% enjoyable. Another thing that could be said about this verse is Prabhupada quotes Anyabilashita Shunya. So that's the first line of a verse by Rupa Goswami, which is also a Bhakti Shastri memorization verse from the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11. Anyabilasita shunyam gyanam karmadya navritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhakti udama. So this is a very important verse because it's a definition of pure devotional service given by Rupa Goswami, who's our main acharya as far as devotional service goes. Both the pranam mantras for Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati include Rupa Nuga in them, meaning that they're followers of Rupa Goswami. And Srila Prabhupada is also Rupa Nuga because he's given us these two books by Rupa Goswami very early in the movement, Nectar of Devotion and Nectar of Instruction, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Upadeshamrita. So this verse means one should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or mental speculation or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. So, also sometimes he explains, it says, Jnana karma dhyanavitam, which means jnana, karma, and etc. And sometimes he explains etc. means mystic powers through yoga practice. So at any rate, we're supposed to be doing the things that Krishna recommends, and we're also supposed to be doing them as offerings to Krishna. Both things. It is possible to do different things that Krishna recommends for selfish reasons, but a pure devotee, he performs activities that Krishna recommends simply for the sake of pleasing Krishna. And because our constitutional position is that we're part and parcel of Krishna, and as the Lord Chaitanya said, Jiver Svar Poi, Krishner Niti Das, Krishner Tatasta Shakti, Beta Beta Prakash, that we're eternal servants of Krishna, and we're actually his marginal energy, and we're simultaneously one and different from him. We're one with Krishna in that we're spiritual, like Krishna, but we're different from Krishna in that they're very, very, very tiny, and therefore we can fall under the control of the material energy, where Krishna is always the controller of the material energy. So we're practicing sadhana bhakti, where we're practicing pure devotional service. Due to our conditioning, it may not look very pure, but it's an important distinction is we should always understand that we're practicing pure devotional service. We're not practicing mixed devotional service. The result of mixed devotionals, if we want to go back to Godhead, we have to practice pure devotional service, because there aren't people doing mixed devotional service in Goloka Vrindavan. There's people doing mixed devotional service in heaven. So if you want to go to heaven, you can perform mixed devotional service. But if you want to go to Goloka Vrindavan or Vaikuntha, you have to perform pure devotional service. Another, actually one other thing I forgot to mention in the previous verse. The previous verse, the Lord was addressed by the word Hari. So the root of Hari comes from the root that means to steal. So the Lord is called Hari for at least a couple of different reasons. He has so many attractive qualities that he steals the mind of the pure devotee. Therefore he's called Hari, because he's so enchanting, he can steal our minds. And also, he also steals away our material contamination, our materialistic tendencies, and therefore he's also called Hari. And Lord Chaitanya liked the name Hari, and you'll find it many times in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And of course, the devotees say Hari Bol, which literally means chant the name of Hari. Now this verse mentions the word kama, and stresses that the devotees are devoid of kama. And that reminds me of a nice verse from the 4th chapter of the Adi Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which actually talks about the difference between kama, lust, and prema, love. There's a verse that goes, Atmandriya priti vansha tari bali kam Krishnendriya priti icha dari premanam. So desiring to satisfy one's own senses is known by the name of kama or lust. But desiring to please the transcendental senses of the Lord goes by the name of prema or love. So this devotional service is the natural tendency of the living entity. And therefore, in our pure state, it's the most natural thing is to render service to Krishna. And it doesn't seem that way in our conditioned state because of our material conditioning. Srila Prabhupada mentions this idea in the address about the mantra on the record album. Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition on the mind. This consciousness is the original, natural energy of the living entity. When we hear the transcendental vibration, this consciousness is revived. This simplest method of meditation is recommended for this age. By practical experience also, one can perceive that by chanting this Maha Mantra, or great chanting for deliverance, one can at once feel a transcendental ecstasy coming through from the spiritual stratum. So, those are some thoughts about the verses and purports of these two verses, which promote sacrifice for Vishnu and decry fruit of work. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or realizations about these important ideas?
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for the lovely class. I have trouble distinguishing what's referred to in that verse as knowing well the difference between devotional service and work for results. To me, it's confusing. You say one gets spiritual pleasure in devotional service. How does one distinguish spiritual pleasure from material pleasure?
Basically, the idea is that with devotional service, we please Krishna, and because we're part and parcel of Krishna, we also become pleased. And Krishna shares that his transcendental ecstasy with the people who assist him in his pastimes. One distinguishing feature is that transcendental pleasure is something that has eternal significance, whereas material pleasure comes and goes. But there's different things going on. There's an interesting meditation that Ravindra Swarup gives on the taste initial devotee experiences in devotional service, because some people say it's like Krishna gives you some special, ecstasy in the beginning to inspire you. But he was saying that actually, when we first come in touch with devotional service, we're performing devotional service. It's actually counted as namabhasa, because we are innocently engaging in devotional service. And that's a liberated platform. There's basically 3 stages. There's Nama, Parad, Nama, Bas, and Shuddhanam. Offensive chanting in the clearing stage, Nama, Bas, and chanting in the pure stage. So in the beginning, we don't know anything about the chanting, and we just chant, and we feel some liberation from material miseries by this Nama, Bas chanting. But once we know what the offenses are, if we don't actually try to not commit the offenses, we fall down from Nama, Bas chanting to Nama, Parad chanting. And the nice feeling of liberation from material miseries is no longer present. But if we remain on the Nama Bas platform, because it's called the clearing stage, our chanting becomes more and more pure, and ultimately we attain Shuddhanam Krishna Prema, because the chanting is pure when we do it, purifying when we do it with the intention of giving up the offenses, when we try to chant offenselessly. So that's an interesting point. So he was arguing that the taste a neophyte devotee experiences at the beginning is the taste of chanting in Nama Bas, and that one loses it if he doesn't maintain the enthusiasm to avoid the offenses and falls down to Nama Parad. So I thought it was a nice analysis and maybe relevant to our lives. But basically the idea is that the pleasure derived from devotional service comes from pleasing Krishna, doing things that we know that Krishna wants for the purpose of pleasing Krishna. And there's different bona fide motivations for devotional service, because we say how devotional service should be unmotivated, but there are bona fide motivations, like the motivation to please your guru, or the motivation to please Krishna. And Prabhupada considered the motivation to go back to Godhead was also a bona fide motivation. But when we talk about devotional service being unmotivated, I mean it's not motivated by some material gain, that we hope to gain something material. Like generally, the material gain is counted as monetary gain or fame or position or things like that. And if our devotional service is motivated, then when that material gain is achieved, then we slack off our devotional service. And so sometimes somebody does some nice service, and then people praise them for doing the nice service, and then they slacken off on the nice service because they just wanted to be praised, and they got praised, you know. So sometimes we see that. Does anybody else want to give insight to answering the question of Chata Mai? Mataji? Any devotional scholars or adepts in devotional service who want to add to my attempt to answer that question?
I think you did very well.
Well, we have 6 minutes for other questions. Okay. Otherwise, I have to quote some more verses.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. So, Prabhu, sometimes a jiva performs fruitive activities in the name of a demigod, and that sacrifice also goes to Krishna. So, why is it not that demigods themselves put the jiva's faith in Krishna? And they have to, that can be a very quick process. If they are worshipping a demigod, that demigod himself puts the faith of the jiva on Krishna.
So you could say that one more time. So you say some people worship demigods.
Yeah. So people who worship demigods.
Usually they're for some material desire, right? Usually, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like we know that Krishna won't force the jiva to put faith on him.
Right.
But the demigods can help that jiva to put his faith on Krishna. So why is it not that they do it very often? Because they know that Krishna is the benefactor of all the sacrifices. So if they themselves make some arrangements that the jiva has full faith on Krishna, so that will make his life easy, and as well as that will be like...
Well, the demigods are devotees of the Lord, so they always know people who would be better off placing their full faith in Krishna, but they're not ready to do that yet. Basically, like we're always advising people to completely surrender to Krishna, and people are always ignoring us. So you know. So, I mean, like, for example, there's the song sung by Lord Shiva, where he's enlightening the Prachetas. So there, he is, advocating pure devotional service to the Prachetas, because that's what they're looking for, But generally, the worshippers of the demigods are really just interested in the material result, and they don't really care about anything beyond that, and therefore the demigod is reciprocating that, giving them that because that's what they're actually interested in. So it's not that the demigods are hiding this higher knowledge from them, but they're just not at a place where they can assimilate that, so they don't instruct them in that. So although they are aware that the best thing is to serve Lord Vishnu, generally the gurus or the pure devotees or the acharyas, they advise everyone surrender to Lord Vishnu. And like we worship our gurus, and they give us that knowledge and inspire us in that way. And sometimes the knowledge of the demigods is covered, as in the case of Indra. Like we mentioned, he speaks this nice verse to Lord Nrsimhadev, but by the time Lord Krishna appears, he's completely forgotten that Vishnu is the Lord of all sacrifices, and gets upset that the Vrajavasis are offering their sacrifices to Krishna. So, whereas the pure devotees always remember that the Lord is the Lord of all sacrifices. Sometimes the demigods forget, and they have to be reminded. And of course, the neophyte devotees forget, and the guru is reminding them too. Anything else in the final? What is it? Oh, it's only 35 seconds according to the deity clock. There is the clock on the altar in case you want to know what the deity's time is. Yeah. Thank you for your attention. I am going to go to Florida in a week, so I won't have your association, but thank you for inspiring me by your dedication to your particular services to Radha Govinda. And did you have something to say?
The example you gave for the devotee to tell his mind that he should hear Krishna for 17 years.
Yeah.
I was just remembering how Prabhupada also told Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, give this one life to Krishna. You have given so many lives, trying to enjoy in this material world in different ways. At least one life you should give it to Krishna, and see, he will be able to do so so much benefit for himself and for the benefit of the complete world. And we see that what he has done just by giving his one life to Krishna.
Yeah, such a perfect instruction by Srila Prabhupada and nicely executed. Yeah, Bhakti Charu Swami is an amazing personality. He translated all of the books into Bengali for Prabhupada and built that amazing temple in Ujjain and was a model of Vaishnava behavior. So we can be inspired to dedicate our one life to Krishna and not sense gratification and see what Krishna is able to do with our one life. Thank you for your time. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki. Shri Harinama Sankirtan Ki. Mahaprasadam Ki. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.